In early April 2026, the Reserve Bank of India projected a significant slowdown for the nation's economic growth, dropping the FY27 estimate to 6.9%. Around the same time, the Union Cabinet authorized an emergency outlay of over 41,000 crore rupees, specifically for fertilizer subsidies. While these policy shifts look like reactions to an internal crisis, India's domestic economy is actually remarkably strong. Both are defensive measures against a shockwave originating 1,500 miles away. This map shows the epicenter, the Strait of Hormuz. It is a narrow waterway, just 21 miles wide at its tightest point, connecting the Persian Gulf to the open ocean. Because India relies on Gulf economies for 60% of its energy, this tiny stretch of water is a massive vulnerability for the Indian domestic economy. Over the last few weeks, that bottleneck became the center of a severe escalation. The US and Israel have exchanged over 15,000 strikes with Iran, alongside thousands of Iranian attacks across Israel and the Gulf. The exchange of fire has taken a severe physical toll on regional infrastructure, shattering market confidence and causing thousands of deaths. Facing immense pressure, Iran deployed its ultimate strategic countermeasure, threatening to close the Strait of Hormuz to all global shipping. A closure creates an immediate mechanical problem for the world's energy supply. Crude oil tankers physically cannot transit this corridor, cutting off the global market from its source. By controlling these 21 miles of water, Iran effectively holds a trigger over global inflation, forcing nations thousands of miles away to instantly brace for a heavy economic impact. Just as the conflict threatened to spiral into a total regional war, a sudden diplomatic intervention pulled the major players back from the brink. The mediator was unexpected. Pakistan's civilian and military leadership, including Army Chief Asim Munir, stepped in to broker a 2-week ceasefire between Washington and Tehran. The truce is built on a specific trade. President Donald Trump agreed to suspend bombing Iran for 2 weeks, and in return, Iran guaranteed the safe reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. However, a temporary ceasefire negotiated in Islamabad is a geopolitical bandage, not a cure. Global markets remain deeply on edge and inherently unstable. Even with the truce, the damage to international shipping confidence has already disrupted supply chains. We see the symptom of this panic at the Reserve Bank of India, revising its crude oil estimates upward to $85 per barrel. That benchmark cascaded directly into the real economy, driving up diesel costs for transport fleets and input costs for manufacturing. The bottleneck also threatens a second, less obvious cargo: raw imported materials for fertilizer, like phosphoric acid and potash. India relies heavily on these imports. Any delay in getting raw materials to the factory line directly threatens the productivity of the upcoming crop season. To shield farmers from these global price fluctuations, the Indian government approved a 12% hike in the nutrient-based subsidy. This forced the Union Cabinet to rapidly deploy over 41,000 crore rupees of public funds, specifically to prevent a distant naval conflict from turning into a domestic food crisis. While the government managed the subsidies, the Reserve Bank of India moved to tackle the inflation imported from West Asia. The RBI's primary defensive move was to hold the repo rate completely steady at 5.25%. For the average citizen, this rate hold keeps consumer EMI payments stable for homes, vehicles, and small businesses. But there is a macro-level consequence to this stability. Maintaining high rates makes borrowing more expensive, which suppresses business expansion and investment. By holding the rate, the central bank is deliberately hitting the brakes on the economy. They are sacrificing growth speed to prevent the engine from overheating due to high foreign fuel prices. This shows the final cost: India's revised growth trajectory. The FY27 GDP forecast is lowered to 6.9%. This deceleration happens despite resilient domestic foundations. Robust private consumption remains strong but is weighed down by heavy external drag. It shows that the diplomatic negotiations in Islamabad are directly connected to the grocery prices in Delhi and the loan rates in Mumbai. In the 21st century, true economic sovereignty is an illusion when a nation's foundational supply lines run directly through the world's most volatile geopolitical choke points.